Hi, I'm Dan Inosanto. I'm from the United States, Los Angeles, California. This tape will be on, the first tape on the Filipino martial art will be on the empty hand portion of the Filipino martial arts. Filipino martial arts are known more for its weaponry. The section we use, we call it Subsystem 1. We teach what is called single stick or single sword or single axe. The second area we teach as we known as double sword or double stick. The third area, it's unequal length weapons like stick and dagger, sword and dagger, sword and shield. The fourth area we deal with the double dagger. The fifth area we deal with the single dagger. The sixth area we deal with the palm stick. And the seventh area we deal with the empty hands. That's what we're going to deal with now. The eighth area, which we're not going to have time on this video to show, is the staff or the longer weapons. The ninth area deals with the what we call the flexible weapons. The 10th area, it deals more with the throwing weapons. And the 11th area we deal with the projectile weapons, and the 12th area deals with the what we call the harmonizing part of the Filipino martial arts. That's knowing the spiritual aspect of it, all the different healing arts, all the different morality codes and things of that nature. But this tape, Volume 1 of the Filipino martial art, will deal with empty hands. Now this portion is called Pangamut. It's called many different names. So in the United States, the American Filipinos, we practice it as a form of self-defense, but it can be a ring sport. And in 1905, that's what it became. The Americans first came into the Philippines in 1899. And when they came there, they brought the sport of boxing. But the art of boxing has always been practiced in the Philippines under many different names. Sometimes it's referred to as Pangamut or Panatukan, Suntukan. The grappling arts known as Dumog, Layog, Bano, Dechon, had Kapulubud. Every area had a different name. So what I'm going to show you are the art forms that were taught to me by one is Grandmaster John Lacasu, who has long passed away. The other one would be Grandmaster Lucky Lukai Lakai Sr. He's passed away. Comes from a great deal of knowledge. Some people say the art does not exist in the Philippines. I don't know. I've never been to the Philippines. I'm an American Filipino. But I'm sure that the art does exist in some form. Some people say it doesn't exist there now because karate, taekwondo has taken over there, and they don't practice the old arts that were originally there at the time coming of the Spanish. So for my student Rick Young, I'm going to just show you some of the basics. Now in Panatukan, we go in left lead and we go in right lead. So I'm going to start right with the basics. Okay, we fight in the right lead and left lead is constantly switched, but the basics will be this. Okay. When the hand is out here, the lead punch, and the jab comes, we always try to monitor this hand here. At this point here, I'm going to mouse the brachial nerve or the ulnar nerve, which is the crazy one like that. I'm going to move the hand here, and then I'm going to follow with 3, just for the sake of understanding, okay? So we check, come back, in, and 3. Notice that I parry and check that hand over here. I'm then going to mouse the bicep or the ulnar nerve like that. I'm going to backhand or hammer fist, cross, body hook, cross. That's one of the ways we counter the jab. It's not the only way. The other way, rather than checking the hand here, we sungab the face here, which is the finger jab, or we palm the face. Again, I'm going to come out the same one. We either mouse the brachial nerve or the ulnar nerve here to impede the progress, throw the hammer fist, and then start with the cross, the uppercut, and the cross again. In Panatukan, we can use the elbow, and we can use the knee, we can use the shoulder, and we can use the headbutt, and we can grab and hold. That's why it's a little bit different. When it became a sport, in the ring, they had to modify some of the techniques. What I'm showing you is the old-fashioned Panatukan, as taught to me in Stockton, California, and in Los Angeles, California. Okay, the next one If you hit the sungab to the face here, he is then going to throw that punch. At the point, that's the elbow. Notice where my hand will throw his body off lever at that point. Excuse me. Okay, let's try that again. So we go 1. Notice when he punches with the elbow, and at that point, I will then throw the cross, the uppercut, and then the cross. One of many, many, many different variations. There are so many different variations on this. Okay. Now, you notice when he comes again in slow motion again, if you go 1, okay, and I go across this way, you notice how equally, say, if you grab here, this is part of the art. If I shoot over here, this is part of the art. Notice how it's placed on my knee. Notice the cross, the hook, and the cross. This is the Panatukan that was taught to me. You're going to see that a lot of movements look very Silash, and that's because I have one instructor named Grandmaster Leo Gahi. He told me there's not any difference between the Burr Salat and a lot of the Penjok Salat systems and a lot of the Kuntao Salat systems of the Philippines, because they're very similar to Dumog, Panatukan, because at one time they were part of the greater Majapahit Empire, which include many different countries, which I won't go into right now. But right now I'm sticking to what I was taught at that time period. You notice closely, so we have 1 entry, just to review again. 1 entry was to check the hand. 1 entry is to hit the face or the eye jab. Okay? After you do this entry, we monitor the other hand. That's one of the variations. Notice the elbow here. Notice I can hit with the forearm right here. Notice the off-balancing portion here. This is when we strike. Okay? Strike and then elbow and elbow. It can come into many different ways because we want to set the person off balance. Now the other way we can do this is what we refer to as the vertical gunting or the vertical scissor. You notice that we tap on like this and we shoot the hand here. You notice how the body swings over here. Notice how we come back to this position. I strike, and I strike. Okay? These are just some of the many ways. It's very hard to show the entire system. Again, on slow motion again. Notice double tap. Notice a shot. Notice how now I pick my hand. Notice this hand, how it comes into the shoulder. Notice how I cradle the jaw. There's a leg to it. Look at the ear. That's where the shot is going to be at that point, because we can hit in Panatukan when the person is on the ground. You can't do that for Western boxing. So in Western boxing, you have to adapt the game, particularly in 1905 when 2 methods stayed as a martial arts supplement and another method turned as a ring sport. Okay, so again, to review again, we had 1 entry. We call it pasok. 1 pasok is to parry the hand and trap the hand. 1 pasok is the eye jab or the hit. When I use the word eye jab, because it's okay to do it in Filipino martial art. And then we had the gunting when we came out, like that. If we were to hit again now, notice this possibility of how it hacks, because it follows the movement of the stick. At that point, I just move the body here. That's when I now start the barrage with the overhead, the uppercut, the elbow, all those different variations. Okay, one more time again, okay? So on the possibility of here, and he strikes here, that's 1 elbow. But if I go out, notice where the hand is, the hacking. These are all forearm shots. And notice where the off balancing comes from. See, because that's where you want. Notice how unstable. If I just pull my foot like this, you're going to see how easy the balance is going to come out. Okay, so his balance is going to come out. We have to do this slow because you won't see it. Because if I flurry this, you're not going to know what I'm doing. Okay, so that's why I'm breaking it down at a very slow pace so you can understand this. Okay, now if we can hit high, see, obviously, we always monitor where the rear hand is. We can either step or hold, and see how I hold my body, my armpit is over. Notice where his neck, head is. Notice the shot here. Notice a slight twist. See, that's where you hold the head up. You start to hit. Palming the back of the occipital bone, hammer fisting here, or straight hitting here. And this is on the rib cage, which makes it very, very painful. At this point, see, there's a wrench here. If I switch over the base here, see, there's a wrench here. This is when we go into Dumo. Okay, these are all the various different entries. Now, when we deal with this front hand, we can deal with it in many ways. 1, we can catch it. 1, we can parry it. 1, we can scoop it. This is called dekut. This is paawas. This is dekut. Dekut is movement. Then we have waslik. Notice how I monitor the other hand at that point over here. Okay. Then you have what we call gunting. The gunting is hit back, so we can straight and gunting back and then come into to the target. Or we can vertical gunting and shoot it here. Or vertical gunting and hit the back. See, and then comes the hammer fist. Because in Filipino boxing, they do a lot of number ones and number two that you normally will not see in conventional Western boxing. It's funny, the older Filipino generation told me that when the Americans first came to the Philippines, most of them fought in kind of a John L. Sullivan stance. So they always depict all Americans, particularly Navy, Army, Marine Corps, because they always used to fight in sort of a John Sullivan pose like this. But they watched the natives there, this is 1899, and they watched the natives there and they noticed all the hands were in. They had lateral footwork, they moved a lot, because it is based on the knife, the movement of knife. Okay, if I go back to this again, we'll just look at this closely. You have a catch, which we call the kup. We have a parry, which we call paawas. We have the kut, which we have the hand here. If we do the kut, we always search for that hand here. We have waslik, which we throw the arm here, which moves the body here. We have the gunting, which is here. We have the sungab, which is here. Okay, we have the vertical gunting, which we come out, and we monitor whatever that hand is going to be. Notice how close that hand is. You notice that always, when you step here, notice where my position of my body is. See? See how the body is, how it comes to that position? Because look at where the knee is on the chest. See, when I step over and I start to flurry, the hand slaps. Hand slapping is very, very important in the art of Panatukan. They work it a lot. For instance, when we hit the occipital bone, very common was go, just hit the back of the head here. When you hit the back of the head, this portion is off balance. I'm going to do that again very slowly. See, one hit. See the switching of the base? See the base over here? Right here? Because that's where you're going to go. Now when I step forward with this knee, he's going to go off balance. I'm going to come back to that position and strike. Okay? This is the art of Panatukan. Lacasa's system was a little bit different from Lakai. It's going to be hard to show everything. Now let's look at the ways we deal with the rear hand. A lot of times, we'll just, on the front hand, we might slide. These all come from the movement of the blade. And I'll explain that as I get the knife out. Those are slides. Okay? But if I slide and hit, this first one is what we call split entry. One hand is in, one hand is out. Notice again where the hammer fist would be. Notice I can put my right foot here. Watch the right foot. See, notice the balance, how unstable that is. See? Notice when if I step forward, that's going to throw them off balance. Okay, one more time again. So if I ride this, and I soon got this on my backhand here and the elbow, that's the position I want. Okay? That's on, if I move the body just slowly, it's going to come down, and he's going to get up usually and strike from here. Okay, these are all the movements that you can do. So let's look at the variable, just the entry by itself. You have the gunting, which mouses the bicep here. It might not slow up most people. It might even infuriate some people. It's the crazy bone here. So when we train, we go under like that. Or we just tap it like that and nobody gets hurt. Now this is the backhand gunting. See? And coming here. So look at again the variation here. After we gunting, we parry, we backhand the bicep, and then we backhand the face. When we say backhand the face, it could be a back fist, it could be a hammer fist, it could be a half knife, it could be a full knife, it could be entire forearm, it could be the finger jab, it could be the elbow itself. Notice again the body will always go off table because we want to hit the person when his balance goes off balance. Okay, now again, look at the variations. So if I parry this or slide this or gunting, it doesn't matter. So you have a back hand gunting is 1. You have a vertical gunting, which is 2. You have an inside sungab to the vertical gunting, which is 3. You have an inward gunting and going out. You have an inward gunting and staying in. Okay. You have an inward gunting and then moving to the side and placing the guy off balance. You have an outside vertical gunting, which is this. Now you see you can work all the different variations from here by smacking, by hitting, closing. All the different lines are being used. In Filipino boxing, you can hit from low to high. This is very, very essential. One of the things that you're going to notice on the here is that if you parry and you backhand, sometimes we will stay in a right lead. That's your right lead. And follow up with a blitz of 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Sometimes when we make the backhand gunting, we will switch. And you notice how this comes to the body here? Then you come back, many different. We always go left and right. If I do an inward gunting here, I'm going to stay in my right lead. I can step on the foot, which is very, very common. And then follow a 3. Or
Okay, I can do the inward dunting and not stay here. And anytime I go here, notice how this thing is behind. See, because empty punches, see, we just come in here. This is the shoulder smash. Coming across with the cross. We can look for the body punch, or the slap, or the elbow. It doesn't matter. Okay, so all the basics come off that. Like a very common basic. Again, 1, 2, and we go here. Very common, then we spin the body like that. Hit to the shoulder. Again, look at the hit shoulder, and then we look for the shots here like that. Okay? These are just many of the different variations that we can do from here. Okay? The other most common one like that, if I go here, one more time fast. Okay, come back. Notice I'm in here again. I do the uppercut, cross, slap, elbow. Different variations are going to be here. Okay, again, slow motion again. If I go to the back like this, I'll slow it down. Okay? Notice how I hold the trachea. Notice how I grab the arm here, how I cradle it. At this point, see, you can go into the Dumog type of situation or stay with the Panatukan, which comes out like this. You know, when I do seminars, I do what the seminar host requests. In other words, some seminars, some people bring me in for the Filipino martial arts. Others bring me in for Bruce Lee's arts, like Jun Fan Kung Fu and Jeet Kune Do. In the early years, some people brought me in for even Muay Thai, because I love Muay Thai. I love Thai boxing. In other years, they brought me in for Silat. So every area of the United States, they bring me in for a certain subject matter. There are some areas that don't want to learn the Jun Fan Kung Fu and the Jeet Kune Do. They're more interested in the Filipino martial arts. Then there's some people who are not interested in the Filipino martial arts. They're more interested in the Silat, or the Indonesian styles, or the Malaysian styles. And some are interested in areas like areas of the Majapahit. So every group is different. Many people say I teach the Filipino martial arts and I push it in front of the JKD. No, it's not true, because everyone wants the subject matter, and I teach what they. I don't say that Filipino martial arts are Jeet Kune Do, but I make the comparison. So maybe 1/3 of the seminar I teach on Bruce Lee's arts of Jun Fan Kung Fu and Jeet Kune Do. Another third might be on Silat, Majapahit, Malaysian, Indonesian arts, Thai arts. Another third might be straight Filipino martial arts. And that's okay too, because I think you want to give the people. In the beginning, when I started teaching seminars, I did it for free. You ask anybody. You ask Larry Hartz, was my best friend. I used to go down and teach at his school, pay my own plane fare to North Carolina, which is pretty expensive, to upkeep him in Jun Fan Kung Fu and to upkeep him in the Filipino martial arts, to update him. I separate, when I certify people in Jun Fan Kung Fu, it's different from certifying people in the Filipino martial arts. And it's different when I certify them in the Majapahit arts, and I'll let my Thai boxer, John Chai Surasut, certify them in Muay Thai. Now, the reason for this, I think, is important, because a lot of times there's material in the Jun Fan Kung Fu that is so similar that people are saying, I'm putting the Filipino side, go, oh, he's taking the Filipino material and putting it in the Jun Fan Kung Fu to make it better. Then you have the people on the Chinese side saying, oh, he's taking the Jun Fan material and putting it in the Filipino arts, because there's a lot of similarities. And I'll tell you why. See, Jeet Kune Do, a lot of it is based on Western boxing and fencing principles. So we talk about the simple repose. A repose is an attack after a defensive motion or a defensive parry. It's a fencing term. So you have the simple repose, and you have the compound repose, and you have the indirect repose. That exists in the Filipino martial arts. Why doesn't it exist in the Filipino martial art? Because Bruce Lee's art was based on weaponry. Filipino martial art is a weapon-based system. And that's why the similarities are there. You repose in stick fighting and knife fighting. So they have a lot of. You take the 5 ways of attack. Let's analyze it. Attack, single angulated attack, with or without broken rhythm. It exists as a weapon. It exists with the empty hand in the Filipino martial art. Attack by combination. It exists in the weaponry. It exists in the empty hand skills of the Filipinos, right? You take attack by drawing. Oh, this is right up the rally. It exists when you do it with weapons. It exists when you do it in empty hands. You take the next way, progressive indirect attack, or what we call indirect attack. That means when you go to one line and go to another line. A direct attack is when you hit low, attack might come and you hit low, you hit high. But indirect is you fake low, you go high, you fake high, you go to the low line, or you fake inside and go outside. Indirect attacking is in weaponry, and it's in empty hands. Then you take hand immobilizing attack, or attack by trapping. It exists with the weapon, it exists without the weapon in the Filipino martial arts, and that's why they're so close, because Bruce based his system on the principles of fencing or weaponry. The Filipino art is a weapon-based system. There has to be a lot of techniques that are very, very similar. And a lot of times when I make analogy, I say, okay, this is an attack by combination. And it's very true, because you do it with the weapon, and you do it without the weapon. And that's why there's such a close relationship between the two.
A lot of the movements in Panatukan are influenced either by the single dagger method, or the double dagger method, or the stick and dagger method. For instance, when he jabs, it's in, notice that they do the slide like this a lot, okay? That's because when they do an empty hand with the knife, or it goes to here, again, see the sliding of the motion? And if he crosses, notice how you monitor the body like this, and he goes across, and how the body is already coming down to this position, okay? And then you come in from this position. That's why a lot of times the movement of the knife dictates it. When you use the vertical gunting, this is the vertical gunting on the outside now, which is this movement here. This is influenced by the blade. See my hand over here in slow motion, see? Because in ancient times, see, you can go this way. See the body, how it is already? And when I come across, you see how the body always automatically will fall off balance? That's the use of the double blade. When you use a method like this, and you use the inward gunting and you check, that is because if you use the knife this way, see, you monitor from here to here. And the cut is still from here to here. If they come out, see, that's still the basics of the knife coming here like that. And it's still, again, starting with the cross and the hook and the cross. So a lot of these movements, as we talked about, are influenced. That will go for the rear punch also. A lot of times you'll see this, okay? I don't like it particularly empty hands, but when you use it with the use of the blade, his hand will actually run into it. See, at that time, see, it's going to be here. Again, you notice again the off-balancing position here. Okay? When I use it with the double-edged blade like this, see, notice that the gunting is coming to that position. See, that's your hand position here, because that influenced the movements like that. See, and you move to that position. Okay? These are all movements that come from the use of the blade, because blade fighting was a way of warfare at that time, particularly with the sword and with the dagger. The movements of the ride, which is, this is if you catch this lead hand and you ride it like that, see, and you strike, this is because at ancient times, sometimes this can be the dagger. And if it's on that angle, and they're thrusting at that angle, the ride is like that, see, it comes here. And that comes here, and obviously the disarm will be here, and you move into the position. So a lot of these movements are strictly from the ride like that, see? That's the ride, see? And of course in knife fighting, it's different, okay? When you don't have a knife, at that point, see, the same basic's going to be used, see, from that position. So there's many different systems. Again, I want to say this. There are so many Filipino systems, and even in my hometown, which was Stockton, California, which is in the northern central part of California, there are, at that time period, particularly in the 40s, about 30,000 Filipinos. Our hometown is like 78,000, but harvesting season there's like 30,000. Different ethnic groups from the Philippines. People that came from the north, people that came from the central part. The Visayans broken down into the Ilonggos, Cebuanos, Bulacanos, Waray, all the different groups, few people from the south. And if you go to any Filipino system, each Filipino system, they really believe that their system is the best. So I've never seen two Filipino people who were ever in agreement, particularly in my hometown. They always thought that their style was the best, and they always thought that their stick method or knife method or sword method was superior to anything else. And that's good. Pretty much like in America, we have pride over to what area we're from, or pride in our baseball team, pride in our football team, and that's good to have that. So when they came from the Philippines, they usually brought that pride of my style is better than your style. But we know it's really the individual. You can take a very athletic person who has good attributes, put him in probably the worst system, give him the worst teacher, and he will become good because of who he is. Likewise, you can take a person who's not as talented, put him in a system, let's say, that is very, very efficient and a very good instructor, and he can rise from what I call a low level into a very high level of martial art. So again, if you take any of the basic opening of the movements, like if I go here and they hit that motion here, again in slow motion, it's like that. See, it's taken from the diagram, either this way or, see, this way, and then moving the body back and following it this way. So motion, I'm not trying to show you knife fighting in this video, I'm just trying to show you how a lot of the movements were related to knife fighting. Many people feel this art is dead in the Philippines. I don't think it is. I think it's just probably more secretive. In my hometown, they didn't really teach it out openly. So if you were a Filipino, I would say that less than only 3%, maybe 5%, particularly in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, knew the art. After World War II, a lot of people did not want to teach the art. They were tired of fighting. It was World War II. There's been a lot of killing. And so many of them knew the art, but did not teach their children, which was a shame because they lost a beautiful art form and a beautiful survival skill, which I think is very, very important. But it was so interesting that it was a very efficient art. And this Panatukan tape that I'm making, Panatukan, again, is just one aspect of the Filipino martial arts. So it has many different aspects of it. There are strikes, and not everything in any art is 100% good. There are some systems. Okay, well, let's look at this. Why the number 1 and the number 2? A lot of times we would practice in solo angle 1 and angle 2, and then we would cross, then we would uppercut and cross. Then we practice on this 1, 2, cross, uppercut, cross. Because the number 1 and number 2 strikes are very, very important. We hit with the hammer fist, we hit with the forearm. Okay, in other words, if I tap that, the number 1 is hit on the bicep. This motion alone, see, will move the body off balance, see, because you're using the fist and the entire forearm. For the sake of the demonstration, you notice how I come back with the forearm? And again, you're going to follow with the cross, the uppercut, and the cross. Okay? Sometimes we see if this is angle 1, okay? Angle 1 in the Filipino martial arts, most Filipino arts, because every numbering system in the Filipino martial arts is different. This is what we call angle 1, whether we hack it or whether we slice it. Whether we come from this angle, whether we hit with the elbow, whether we hit with the forearm. So this angle 1 strike actually smashes here, but it can also smash the bicep and then hit number 2 here, and then notice how we step on the foot? That puts the guy off balance when we move. There's a lot of off-balancing parts in this, okay? So look at it again. We call this short 1, long 1, 2, angle 2. Then come back to the cross, the uppercut, cross. That's just one of many, many different follow-ups. What I'd like to show you why it was necessary to learn empty hands. There are some Filipino systems that have the double stick, they have the single stick, they have the stick and dagger, they might have dagger, and they might have staff. It is essential that they have the empty hand skill because no matter how good you are, at one time or another, you will lose your weapon. That's how the empty hand portion of the Filipino martial art probably evolved, because when they lost weapon. If you're a good man, they say you will never lose a weapon. But sometimes you might. So under this circumstances, I'm just going to give you a common scenario. If I do the rook block, and he came in and he snaked, and he came out, and I came out here, see, I would now go into the empty hand skill. Okay, this is where it's very much necessary, whether I cross and uppercut and cross and went into another part. Or sometimes there's a possibility, like in close quarter stick fighting. Just, again, he might snake here, I might come to here, I might take it out again, I might elbow, and again, see the body balance over here, and I follow off with the cross, the uppercut, and the cross. Okay, and this other point over here, sometimes when he does, and I do the rook block, okay, I'm going to move him over here so you can see over here, and he inside deflect with the stick here like this, back like this, and you strip, okay, sometimes you push this portion here and start with the cross, see, this is the uppercut, the backhand, and then the cross. Other points, if you did the rook block here, okay, and he did the inside deflection first, and he snaked, you notice that how he's monitored? This would be the disarm. This would be the kick, this would be the punch, or you can go to the headbutt, you can go to the knee, you can go to the elbow, and then you're going to come back to this position here, and then lock it from that position here. So this is probably why the empty hand skill was needed, because at one time or another, you would lose your weapon. I'm not going to bore you with all the different types of footwork, but the most basic one we have is what we call the open triangle. Okay, this is called the reverse triangle, and this is a basic, and usually we used to practice this for a time. This is what we call the reverse triangle or the female triangle. There's another triangle which we call the male triangle. And when we work on, we go right lead, we step in here, we go left lead, move the base, and then we're going to come here. This is very common because you can move inside the plane, moving across the horizontal line, and then coming in, moving back and this way. Then we have what we call lateral triangle. This is when the triangle is like this. This is very common. Your foot is at the corner, so your right lead is forward, and notice my right shoulder is forward, right shoulder forward, right shoulder. But it also can be done left shoulder forward, left shoulder forward, left shoulder. This triangle can also be to this side here over here, leaving this constant. And again, you have the variation of left leg forward, see, left leg back, with the left shoulder forward. But now you see your same basics can come from this manner here like this. This is useful for blade and stick, and of course empty hands. So what I'm going to take now is the reverse triangle, which is this motion here. I'm going to show you some exercises which might seem very superficial, but they're very, very important. Okay? So what they used to do, because the number 1 and number 2 were constant, we would do this: step off and do angle 1 and angle 2, then cross, then uppercut and cross. Then we would repeat that other side: angle 1, angle 2, cross, uppercut, cross. Then we would move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, cross, body hook, cross. Then we move to this side, okay? Angle 1, angle 2, cross, body hook, cross. Then when we move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, cross, tight hook, cross. Then we move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, cross, tight hook, cross. Then we move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, cross, slap, cross. We move to this side over here: angle 1, angle 2, cross, slap, cross. Then we move to this side again: angle 1, angle 2, cross, wide hook, cross. Move to this side again: angle 1, angle 2, cross, wide hook, cross. Then we move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, the overhead, uppercut, and overhead. Move to this side again: angle 1, angle 2, overhead, uppercut, overhead. Now this is like the overhead, the next one: angle 1, angle 2, and we loop it. We loop it this way, and it could be looped this way, doesn't matter. Then we go uppercut, overhead. We move to this side: angle 1, angle 2, loop it this way or loop it this way, then uppercut, overhead. Then we have the wide one: angle 1, angle 2, we go overhead, bolo punch, overhead. Move to the side: angle 1, angle 2, overhead, bolo punch, overhead. There are many ways they used to train in Panatukan. This is one of the old methods. Remember, at this time period, they didn't have folks' gloves. They had a few heavy bags. So what they used to do is use a trapo or a little bid, and then you just use the staff here like this and practice on it. Sometimes the staff would be split into 4 parts, so it would give a little give. So, like for an example, they would maybe jab, cross, uppercut, and cross, and they would do it on the other side. Very important. Then sometimes it could be held vertical: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move the other side: 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it could be held diagonal, because you could go overhead, uppercut, overhead, on diagonal side, overhead, uppercut, overhead. He can hit with this side of the body, see back, and then you just follow the back in this side, bang. You can move any type of line. So the workout over here now, if you can bob and weave: 1, 2, 3, 4, bob and weave on the other side: 1, 2, 3, 4. And the basic training is goes back like that. And if you moved around with me like this, you can just spin it back. So you can come back: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, back again, 2, 3, 4. You can, any variation, just to get you the basic idea. This is an exercise I was taught by Lucky Lukai Lakai and Lakasa. Sometimes it's used with a bamboo pole that goes all the way down here like this, and sometimes it's a rope. For purpose of this demonstration here, I'm just going to use it, this thin wire here, and I want you just to practice bobbing and weaving. So this side, use your left shoulder here, right shoulder, left shoulder. Then come off of it in any kind of combination like that: 1, 2, 3, come back, 1, 2, and overhead and uppercut. You can angle 1, angle 2, back to here, or you can jab, cross hook. You can do various different things from here, or you can practice the bob and weave, switching uppercut, overhead, overhead.
You come back, hit the rope, come in again. You're just going to work here, just need the basic idea how it works like this. It looks easy, but you tire off very quickly in 3 minutes.
My first teacher that studied martial art was my uncle. He wasn't my real uncle, but he was Vincent Evangelista. But great Eskrima man, but he didn't teach me Eskrima. He taught me judo, he taught me jiu-jitsu, and he taught me Okinawan Te. And I hated it. Because at that time, but my dad goes, you need the discipline, Dan. This is why. So I was taught it, for 2 summers. Didn't particularly like it. But going back to the Filipino martial arts, my dad started to show me this numbering system, which is a plain Cinco Terro. Then he looked at me and says, I think I'll have other people teach you. He just taught me the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a Cinco Terro movement. Showed it about 3 times, says, no, I think it's better. So he had my Uncle Ramos teach me, and that was actually my first teacher. And he taught me empty hand skill, like, double parry and strike with that hand. He taught me he was my first Pangmut teacher also, it's my uncle. And he sort of cooked for my father. He was the camp cook. A lot of Filipinos lived on agricultural camps. And so that was my first exposure. Later on, as I got older, I took the Japanese martial arts, I took Okinawan martial arts, I took Korean martial arts when I was in the military service, and I took Chinese martial arts. And I was in Kempo, I was a black belt under Ed Parker in Kempo. And he says, you ought to investigate your own culture. So was Ed Parker that sort of my own culture? He says, yes. He says, I said, well, isn't that just the sticks? And he said, no, there's more than that, Dan. You should check it out. And that's why I went. And when I came there, it sort of really blew my mind because I said, gee, these guys don't know anything. So the first group my father brought me, there was a bunch of Filipino men. And he says, you're going to learn. And my dad was really like, because I never embraced anything that was Filipino. Never. I was more interested in names like Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle. Those are baseball players. I was more interested in Johnny Lujack, who was a football player, Sid Luckman, Bobby Lane, Eddie LeBaron, people of that time frame, And I had no interest in that. And so my father was so happy when I started to take something that was Filipino culture. My dad could speak 12 dialects, which is very, very rare. Along with speaking 12 dialects, I think he could speak like 5 languages along. So my dad was so happy. So when I want to embrace this, he was kind of laughing because I looked over and I go, well, these guys don't look like martial artists. This was the first mistake I made. I made the assumption because they weren't wearing gis or Chinese outfits or martial outfits that they didn't know anything. And that was the first error I made because they didn't wear any gis. I looked at them and said, well, not that these guys could teach me anything. They're not even wearing gis. No gis at all. Forget gis. They don't even have a belt. They don't have a black belt. So I based that on the gi and black belt that they have no knowledge. And I was so amazed and was so frustrated in my first lesson because it was on knife. And he said, what did you have you learn a knife? I said, I learned this. And everything I did was complete failure. They would just slash and the way they would feed me was slash this way. A lot of systems, they just fed it straight to you like that and let you do the technique. But these people wouldn't let you do it because everything was in flow, so they'd fake and move here, slash, cut, uppercut, and they would just do this, and it was so frustrating. I kind of threw the knife on the ground, and my father says, you throw that knife on the ground, you are disrespectful, and they will not teach you. And I wasn't mad at them, I was mad at myself because I couldn't get anything.
Okay, we're going to break this down very, very slowly. So what I want you to do now, I'm going to bring Eric in. You catch the jab. And what they used to do was take the hand, hit it here, even push a little bit, and then fire up with 3. Okay, one more time slowly. 1, 2, and fire with 3. Okay? Again slowly. 1, 2, and fire with 3. Okay? The next one they would use is the right knee. When they use the right knee, it always came back into the opposite stance. Okay? Again slowly so you can see it. 1, 2, fire across, uppercut cross. Okay? Again. 1, 2, cross, uppercut, cross. The other basic, like I said, some of these are very efficient. Some of them you have to see if it works for you, like anything else. He throws a jab, okay? And this hand now is going to come up, hit the groin, back to that position. Okay, once again, it's very slowly. One, you notice how it just comes up here? Looks wide. Kind of a wide bolo punch, slow motion again. It comes up, swing, uppercut, hook, cross, hook, and back to any three combination or a combination of five. One more time. One, swing up here, 1, 2, 3, and back. You can use the elbow, you can use different variation. Okay, the next basic we're going to take is, he's going to jab. A lot of times when he hooks with this hand, a lot of people just cover. See, what they like to do in Panatukan, we like to monitor. He goes into the floating rib cage. We cup this hand here, go to the body, cross, hook, and cross, or any of that combination. Okay, 1, 2, cup, 1, 2, 3, back again. The other one, 1, they're going to come into here. They're going to swing to here, 1, 2, 3. Again, slow motion. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, in slow motion. 1, see, 2. The elbow's hitting here. You're going to swing here. You're going to uppercut, cross, and back. Okay? Now, one of the more popular ones they do in the Panatukan is the split entry. This is the split entry. But the variations from the split entry is 1, we're going to hammer fist. Again, if we overhit, we body hook and overhit. Now watch what happens in the next one here. I'm going to hit, but I'm going to swing to this position. He's going to come back. Again, in slow motion. That's a split. But we hit here and waslick here, bring the body here, cross, body hook and cross. Okay? These are some of the basics that we use in the Panatukan. Okay, what I'm going to do now, we're going to counter the jab hook again. Okay? So when you catch it, you're going to step out to the side. Notice that gives you the angle, because in case he does punch, this is going to move him back and uppercut and cross. Look again in slow motion what's going to happen. See? So you go catch, but you move to this side, okay? Because in case he does, see, you're going to move the body here. That's the uppercut and the cross, okay? One more time, very, very slowly. 1, 2. Okay, if he moves, see, you can either touch the hand or the neck, okay? So what you want to do is 1, and then come back to here. And any time, so you can come back and shoot the punch, okay? One more time again. 1, 2, up, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now, you can also move to this position, which opens this line here. That's where you're going to crowd again to come back to that position. 2 uppercuts, slap, and then cross. One more time again, slowly. Okay, we'll move over here just a little bit. All right, so here's a jab. Okay, you're going to move to here, which opens you up to here. So you want to cross in here. See, you can elbow. You can do the first uppercut, second uppercut, the slap, elbow, or punch. One more time, very slowly. Okay, 1. You want to move to this position. When he punches, you want to crowd it. You can slap the ear, you elbow, which gives you the left uppercut, the right uppercut, the slap, and the elbow. Last time, very, very slowly. 1, move to this side here. Wait for the punch, start the elbow, left uppercut, right uppercut, slap, cross, or elbow. Okay, let's watch this from another angle. Let me try to explain this a little bit slower too. You see over here, when he jabs and he hooks, if you do it out here, see, you're going to get hit by this shot here. So what it was taught to be by Costa, see, if you move in tight here, you notice how I'm sort of jamming this thing up, but in the process, the elbow comes up, the elbow strikes, you backhand, you do the uppercut, the slap, the cross, or the hold and elbow. Okay, this is very important. Again, if you stay out here and you do this, you're going to get hit here. If you stay out here and you do this, you get hit here. So they said, the nearer you are, you're going to come up here with the elbow, see? You're going to elbow again, the hammer fist, the left uppercut, the right uppercut, the slap, the elbow, or the cross. Okay, one more time very slowly, okay? You want to crowd as much as you can. This is already going to take it in, like that, see? You're going to cup, you're going to elbow, okay? You're going to hammer, you're going to do the left uppercut, the right uppercut, the slap, the elbow, or the cross. Okay, one more time, again. 1, 2, 3, 4, elbow, uppercut, uppercut, elbow. Okay, let me explain this. This is for the cross counter, and this is sort of like, it's a hold technique, but holding is legal in the old Panatukan. So you can mouse this, you strike here, and you hook here. See how it brings them down? And then that's where you put it on the knee, and then you start the hits from here, either prep and overhit. Okay, one more time slowly so you can see this, okay? So this one here, again, could be this way. Once again, you can mouse it this way, You can bounce it this way. You can bounce it this way, right? You can strike and you hold. See the hand position here? The knee is here. You can split, and that's where the strike starts to come in. See, the hammer fists are going to be used here, and you're going to come into this position. Okay, one more time again. The object of this, if you destroy with this, you're going to stand the arm out here. Okay. Hold back, start to strike, 2, 3. Okay, last time, so you can see the basics. See, 1, 2, hook, in, send the body back, cross, start your hammer fists from here. Okay? Okay. Again, let me just show you what possibilities. If you catch this, you shoot here. The object of this, you want sometimes your shoulder to hit his jaw here, see? And when you drop, see, you're going to drop here, sport it again, and then start the barrage from here, or to start the hammer fists from here. Okay, boxing is boxing, no matter what country it comes from. India, any Western country, Philippines, the names might be different, but they do the same thing. So I'm going to break this down because it all looks like punching and kicking, but I'm going to explain the sector. Anytime we work on the lead hand, we want to zone away from the rear hand. It's not always possible to do. So I'm going to show you the sectors. If I come to here and my hand is here, anything punch that comes to here, this is called sector 1. Any punch that comes over here, this is sector 2. Any punch that comes in here, that's sector 3. Any punches that come to the side, that's sector 4. Okay. All right. Now, the purpose of this is that we want to zone away from this hand. Okay. So if we can't stop that hand and monitor it here, this is still the sector. See if I'm going to raise my hand. It has to come on this section. It has to come on this section. It has to either uppercut to the 4th sector. It either has to come around to the opposite sector. You can close entirely sector 1, which is this sector here, by going like this. See, the sector 1. The only way he can get to sector 1 now is if he spins with the elbow. See, and that's exactly what you want him to do. See, because you're going to be down to that position again. Okay. All right. One more time again, slowly. Can you see? So sector 1, when you go like this, 1, 2. See, it's closed. See, when my body dropping it, if I just drop body weight here like this, I have a good chance to score from this position. Because in Panatukan, you can't punch on the ground the way it was made, unless it was made into a sport where they have to stand. Okay, if they come into sector 1, which is this sector, you invite it. Again, he's going to fall off balance to this position here. By moving the body here, you can come into the position here. Okay? Okay, one more time again, see? Now, when you come to this position, that's sector 2. At that time, see, the hand is going to be like this. If you step on the foot, see how the balance comes here? That's where you're going to probably knee the person. So I'm going to repeat that again, okay? All right? So if I'm in sector 2 and the angle's here, see? You want to step on the foot. That gives you the balance. The point of balance is about right here. That's where the knee would be. And that's where the punches would start the barrage. Okay, one more time very slowly so you can just see over here, okay? This is 1. Sector 2 will be here. Step on the foot. That's the sector here. The point of balance is right here. Or you hold here and start the barrage here, here, overhead, uppercut. All the different variations are going to be used from here, okay? All right, now, a lot of times when you're in this position in like this, see, it's going to come with the uppercut. So you want to muffle the uppercut like that. You still want to move to this position here. And that gives you the base, okay? And that follows up with all the different sectors that you want. Okay, one more time very slowly. This is 1. The sector is base like this in the bottom. If I just walk forward here, see the base of the balance is very, very weak. I can follow with the barrage from here to here. Okay, one more time again. Okay, so if you go 1, 2, the uppercut, you just come to this position. If you shoot over here, you can put it over here. Let me explain this to you again, okay? This is sector 1. This is sector 2. This is sector 3. That's why we moved out. And sector 4 sometimes comes out to the side here like this, see? But it's still the same balance that's being pushed out to here. Now, on the same token, on the footing, if I put his foot over here, when your right foot is out here, we call this sector 1. We call this sector 1. When we step on the foot, this is sector 2. This is sector 3. And we step inside here, this is sector 3. If we step with this foot, it's still sector 3. If on the opposite side, we start what we call sector 4, which is here. 5 is on the toe, and sector 6 is outside. There are 6 sectors on the foot. For instance, if he jabs, and we come in, and he throws a punch, uppercut, or overhead, doesn't matter. Okay? Now I can step in sector 1, or I can step on the foot for sector 2, or I can come in with the right foot in sector 3. That's sector 3 at that point. If he draws back, see, I am now in sector 6, or I can step in sector 5, or I can place the foot here and move into sector, another sector from that position, okay? So these are what they call blocking the sectors, okay? So that's usually what they try to do, is 1 is here, 2 is here. If your knee, and he would drop back, see, I am moving now into what sector? This is now 4, and you can pull it here, which now gives you the overhead, overhead, and overhead. Or you could have stepped on the foot, one more time, see, and back to the hand position, and you elbow and your knee, let's say he steps back. Now you notice I step on the foot. That's sector 5. Okay, if I move the body this way now, this is sector 6.
When I wrote my first Filipino martial art book, you know, a lot of Filipinos did not want to be in the book because they wanted their privacy. So I only put the book, people in the book that wanted to be in the book. And when the book came out, people said, Dan, you should have put me in the book. I said, but you told me you wanted to be private. I said, no, you should have put me in anyway. So I could never really please everybody in the community. And then I realized how large the Filipino community, because people would write them a book and say, Dan, that Filipino book is wrong. You misspelled this word. It's supposed to be spelled this way. And then, Dan, you should have put this in. You should have put this in. Like knife techniques, they didn't want in the book. So I honored the people in the community, so I didn't put the knife techniques in the book. But that's my first exposure. And my dad would introduce me to people like Lacosta. He would introduce me to people like Illustrissimo, you know, Sugatan, you know, Sarmento, Cabalas, Leo Horong, you know, probably leaving out some names I can't. And from then I started to do my own research in the LA area, where I found Apalado, I found Ovalis. Lacosta was, of course, he was living in Stockton and Los Angeles, which was nice because I could study with him in Northern California, and then he would come to Southern California, so I got to train with him both in Southern California and Northern California. And then I found out that there was just a tremendous amount of knowledge from like double stick, which translated into double sword, single sword, and there's so many different shapes of swords in the Philippines, long and short. So it's a very versatile art. Because if you go back in history, the people that populated the Philippines came from northern India and southern India and from Persia, and they intermarried with the people from Indonesia, and then they came down. So there's many different waves. You know, we call it Proto-Malay wave. Indonesian Class A, which is more of a northern Indian. Indonesian Class B, which is more from southern Indian. They're more Dravidians. Then you have different waves, you know, we call the second barangay, the third barangay. This is what my father used to explain to me. So there were so many different types of Filipinos that came to the Philippines, and then in the United States it was the same thing. And almost every section of the Philippines, they have an art, and it's different. That's why there's a lot of confusion as to which is the correct Filipino martial art, and that's really hard. Because none of those guys agree with each other. But it's all very efficient martial art. I love it. Okay, we're going to take the low line, which we call the number 5 line, which is the low jab. Okay. Now this one here will look very similar to the Junfan Jeet Kune Do technique, but the one in Junfan Jeet Kune Do is a fuksao, like this. If you touch me over here again, it's a fuksao. As the one in Kali moves to here, see? Because when he punches, see, I know that I am in position here now to move him off balance. And that's what I want him to move off balance. Because once he's off balance, you can throw a barrage of 3 to 5 to 6 blows. Again, so you want to always make the line here, automatically elbows here, and you want to move the body here. That's a threat. Now, if you receive a low and you come in, notice the vertical gunting here, the elbow again, the knee, placing the body here, which now starts the barrage of different types of blows. Remember that in Panatukan, you can strike the person when he is on the ground, which is not in conventional boxing. But so therefore it's kind of useful skill if you're into a lot of no-hold-bar fights. Some of the techniques will fit and be applied. If I receive it here in the low line, he punches, I can use the gunting like that. In other words, I just hit over here. The same basic now is being used. See, the hand position again. And again, he's off balance, and that's when you would fall with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 barrages. See, sometimes I receive, and this is the vertical gunting inside. Notice where the hand slap is here. See how the body, look at the body position over here. That's when you would start the barrage of 3 or 4 or 5 for that particular thing. Now what they like to do is not even deal with this hand.
because in stick and dagger, we don't want to deal with the dagger because the rear hand is always dagger, whether it's a right lead or left lead. So what we want to do is either monitor it here and then crash the body here and then turn. Notice where the hand is at. Notice where both hands pat like this. So the knee will buckle here. That's where you want to have the shot of the angle 1, the angle 2, the angle 3. One more time again. Okay? So again, we want to monitor where that hand is. Okay? If we monitor the hand, we can also gunting come in, strike it, move up the line, come underneath. We want to tap this, buckle the knee, hold on to the jaw like this, and that's going to barrage to the elbow, follow with the overhead and striking. This is very, very important. Okay. Now the other thing that you can do, and it's very, very common in Panatukan, either you're going to enter with this one, either you're going to enter with this one, either you're going to enter with this one down here, then you're going to swing the body this way. See how the body comes to me here? Look at this. Look at my shoulder. Look at the elbow. Okay. Look at the knee. Look at the position of the body line when it comes to that position. And that will strike now the barrage of strikes. Okay. Moving off over here again. Okay. So it doesn't matter what entry. What we want to do is zone away, because at this point, see, he can hit me with his hand. So what we want to be is here. See, if we just spin like that, see, that's where the uppercut or the bowler punch comes to the throat. That's where the elbow comes. Both strike back here. That's where the push comes. That's where the strike starts coming, and you strike. You want to be able to do this, okay? The other one that's very common, particularly in the Lacoste system, once we monitor it like this, we strike, we use the forearm to the nose, okay? And we start the barrage here like this, okay? One more time again. Okay, slowly. So once we make this motion like that, slowly, see? See the hole here? Now watch my forearm as he tips the nose, so, and we strike here and come in again. The one, probably, like we have what we call favorites, non-favorite. Once I come here like this, I move here. See how there's overarm hooks here to this position? That's the break, where we come here, and we start the barrages like that. Okay. One more time, slowly. 1, 2, grab the throat. Notice where the arm is going to overhook. Down, control, wrench, start the barrage, and strike. Okay? Now, one of the other ones they do from this position here, once they're here, they come down here, we go up to the throat, okay? Now, we're just going to pull down like that, see? This makes the shot now available to strike 1, 2, and 3. You'll see a number of a lot of 1s and 2, with people say, well, that's in boxing. But in Filipino boxing, they do angle 1 and angle 2 very prevalently, okay? When you go like this, that is already in the eye, see? All you have to do is crowd now, see? So when you're coming into this position, see, what you want is the hand to come over, see? And top bottom is push, down, and then start the barrage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, last time, so you can just see the basic. Any entry is going to work. So you can come in here, switch, hold the head, start the barrage, and finish. I'd like to thank Eric Paulson of Los Angeles, California, and Rick Young of Scotland for helping me in the performance on this video. Without them, I could not complete it. And I would like to dedicate this video to the following people who gave me the knowledge, gave me the skill, shared the skill with me, and gave me the material so that I could present it to you. This is their material. This is not my material. So I'd like to thank them. First in line, like to thank Grandmaster Flora Villabrayo, who has now passed away, and his foremost student, Ben Lagusa, Grandmaster Ben Lagusa, who is now residing in Hawaii. I would like to thank Master Regino Illustrissimo of the Illustrissimo system, who's passed away. I would like to thank my father for introducing me to many of these people, and he's passed away. I would like to thank Grandmaster Tuhan Leo Gahi, who taught me a lot of the empty hand skills on this tape, and he is still alive and living on the island, in the islands of the Philippines. I would like to dedicate this also to Pedro Apalato, who has also passed away. I would like to dedicate this to Master Leo Hurong, who is still alive and living in Stockton, California, and to Master Pascual Avalos, who is also living in the Philippines. I haven't seen him in a long time, so I feel that I think that he has passed away by now. And I would like to thank this to Jack Santos. He died at the age of 96, and he has passed away. I would like to also dedicate this to Grandmaster Angel Gabales. He also has passed away, Grandmaster. I'd like to dedicate this to Dentoy Revlar, who is in Stockton, California, to Master Gilbert Tinu, who is also passed away in Stockton, California, to Johnny Eliab, who's also passed away, and to Master Samson Denson, who's living in Southern California. I'd like to dedicate this also to Guru Maximenta, who's passed away, and I'd like to dedicate this also to Master Sabing Sabing in the Hawaiian Islands. He's also has passed away. To Master Balio Pedoy, a master in Hawaii also, and he's also passed away. To my Uncle Ramos, who was actually my first Eskrima teacher and Panatukan teacher, and he's also passed away. To Guru Lantanyao of the Villabrayo system, who assisted me when I was learning the Villabrayo Lagusa system, and to Grandmaster Edgar Saluti of the Lameko system, and he's also passed away. I'd like to dedicate this to Kakar Kinyeti, who's been so inspirational to me in his knowledge of the Dosi Power system and the Filipino martial arts in general. And mainly to these two men, because they taught me a lot of the material that you have seen on this tape. That is to Grandmaster Johnny Lacosta, or Juanito Lacosta, and Grandmaster Ted Lukai Sr., and most of the material that I took from this tape came from these two individuals, so I want to thank them for this. And without them, I couldn't have had the knowledge that I was presenting to you in this video tape. So I want to thank you very much.
You know, the 3 points of the Kali Triangle is love, compassion, and humility. And sometimes they use this symbol like here, love, compassion. Love is the highest art. I was always taught that you train very difficult. In ancient times, you trained so hard, not for the sake of killing people, but for the love of your family, for the love of your mother, your father, your children, in those ancient days, your tribe, and of your body. It is the love of life. That's why you train so hard, so you can preserve life. So that's why love is the highest, because you want to preserve life, not to kill life, but the training in Kali is to preserve the life, the love. You don't want anything to happen to your family, your mother, your father, your children, your cousin, your uncle, your aunts, right? Or the tribe. So you train hard, so that will never happen. So you have the security because you love people and you love life. Humility is because no matter how high you get, you have to always remember you'll always be below the Creator, period. And in fact, that's one of the principles. No matter what you have achieved on earth, you'll always be below the Creator. When we see a person who is so much skillful, we don't look at admire the person, we admire the Creator, because the person was made by the Creator and God gave him the attributes to be good. So that's admiring the Creator's product. Just like you say the Creator made these mountains, it's so beautiful. He made the ocean, He made the rivers, it's so beautiful. That's a product of the Creator. So a good person, whether he have a good voice or whether he's very, very good and skillful in the martial art, we admire him, but we admire the Creator because the Creator made him. Okay? Compassion, because sometimes in compassion, you don't want to do anything to a person that any harm to happen to you, so you're compassionate. You know how to use the art. You know how to injure and degree. You wouldn't want a guy to harm you, so you wouldn't do it to another person. So that's the compassion you have for mankind. So that's why we have the love, compassion, and humility. Those are 3 important points, and they really stress it. If your Kali teacher is traditional, he will stress that. Even more, on a daily basis, or every time you come to train, he'll start off. And that's why the salutation, when they come in, they look into the portal of the triangle of love, compassion, and humility. Because there's always going to be somebody better than us, and all skill is from the Creator.